Okay, this is for Frank Harlow, Speech 111, Public Speaking, final speech. Before we get started, I got some handouts here. I'm going to give each and every one of you a little visual aid to help you along during this presentation.
Just gotta see the face.
File. Your heart races about 150 beats per minute. Your palms begin to sweat, your legs begin to quiver. Adrenaline courses through your veins, creating a high far superior to that of any illicit drug or substance. You stare across the cage or ring at your formidable opponent, and he has the same look of determination and intensity written across his face as you. The bell sounds and you engage your opponent in one of the world's oldest and purest sports, hand-to-hand combat, known today as simply MMA, an acronym for mixed martial arts. Having a better understanding of what MMA truly is will provide you a greater appreciation for the sport. For example, the new market produced by the sport has had a positive impact on the economy through the creation of jobs, not only for the fighters themselves, but for the vast amount of people it takes to organize and execute an MMA event. Not to mention the large amounts of money generated through merchandise and media marketing. I'll be discussing this topic because I fell in love with mixed martial arts in 1993 after viewing my first MMA fight on pay-per-view. Since then, I have trained in MMA under some of the most accredited instructors in the United States, and I have competed at the amateur level. I also aspire to one day compete professionally. This sport is important to me, and I want to expand the knowledge of this sport to all of you and hopefully dispel some of the harsh criticisms MMA faces today. Mixed martial arts, or MMA, is a full contact sport that allows a wide variety of fighting techniques from a mixture of martial arts in traditions and non-traditions to be used in competitions. The rules allow the use of striking and grappling techniques both while standing and on the ground. The term is also used to describe hybrid martial arts styles. You may be familiar with such styles as karate, kung fu, other disciplines of this nature, but mixed martial arts opens the door to so much more than these common disciplines. In the next couple minutes, I'll discuss the history and development of MMA, the dynamics of MMA today, and finally, discuss the value of training in mixed martial arts. First, let us look at the history and development of MMA. Greek pancration was the earliest form of documented unarmed combat for sport. Fighters would engage, usually wearing no clothes whatsoever or protective gear or gloves, and they would generally fight to the death or until one other fighter was incapacitated. There was primarily no other way of stopping the fight. That's how they did it. So through the evolution of the sport, we come to the 1800s where no-holds-barred events in the United States reportedly took place when wrestlers representing a huge range of fighting styles in tournaments would engage one another. Again, there was minimal rules. They did wear protective gear to an extent. Usually it was small 6-ounce gloves, or often it was bare knuckle in some of the other fights. There was far less deaths that occurred in this type of fighting during this era. However, some did occur because, again, there was very minimal rules. So the sport has evolved since then even further. As we come to today, modern MMA has emerged in the American pop culture, inducted in '93 with the introduction of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, or UFC. Today, the UFC has developed into the major league of mixed martial arts. It is the top venue out there, and as you can see from some of my props here, this is the standard gloves that mixed martial artists use today. They are 6-ounce gloves, and they primarily just protect the knuckles. They don't do much as far as softening a blow to the opponent. So it's mostly to protect your knuckles. They do prevent a little bit on the cuts. The impact is going to be the same as a bare knuckle fist. However, it will somewhat protect the person being struck from receiving a damaging cut that could end the fight prematurely. So, secondly, let us look at the dynamics of MMA today. Stand-up fighting techniques involve your karate disciplines, your taekwondos, your kickboxing, American boxing, kung fu, and other disciplines of this nature. And they will develop your stand-up fighting game, which involves the striking, your blows with your feet, your elbows, your knees, your fists. Those are all incorporated in mixed martial arts today. Clinch brawling is another form of fighting. This is like where your Muay Thai fighters are well versed in this, and your Greco-Roman wrestlers and judo experts are very good at clinch brawling. Clinch brawling is a style that's geared toward clinching or grasping your opponent around the upper body and using leverage and momentum to gain control of your opponent and get inside strikes, which they commonly refer to as dirty boxing techniques, holding your opponent and striking him. The ground game, one of the most important games of mixed martial arts today. Jiu-jitsu has dominated this sport, and it is going to be the most well-versed discipline to develop your ground game in MMA today. It will give you all the techniques necessary to gaining control over your opponent while on the mat, and that is a very important aspect of MMA. But really, all of these disciplines that I mentioned are what make up mixed martial arts. That's why it is important to be well-rounded to be a successful mixed martial arts competitor or even to train in these events. And if I could demonstrate real quick on Mr. Travis here, I'll just do a quick little standing arm bar. This is a jiu-jitsu move. However, it's usually used on the ground, but it'll be too hard to see on the ground. But if we were going to go in for a clinch like this and he had his arm up, I might slip my right hand up over his arm here, put it behind his right arm, put pressure here, grab, and apply pressure until, I would obviously break his arm, but he would tap out before that would happen. So thanks for getting
Wow.
this there.
That's cool.
So finally, let's examine the value of training in mixed martial arts. Improve physical fitness, cardiovascular fitness, muscular fitness, anaerobic and aerobic alike, flexibility of the joints and muscles, and overall feeling of well-being, health and well-being. The 3 S's, what I like to call self-discipline, self-respect, and self-confidence. These are all gained through the training of mixed martial arts. And most importantly, self-defense. Be able to defend yourself against a would-be attacker or your family against attackers, because this is very important in life, protecting your loved ones. And mixed martial arts will give you all the tools necessary to do a good job of protecting your family. So hopefully you now all know a little bit about mixed martial arts today, the history, evolution, the dynamics of the sport, and the value of learning MMA. The next time you hear of an MMA event taking place, you may find yourself tuning in to witness the technical aspects of the sport. In addition, maybe you'll have an appreciation for the skill and the courage it takes to step into the ring with another fighter. Maybe you'll notice the value it can be to possess these types of skills in real-life scenarios. Today I have discussed with you the history and evolution of mixed martial arts, the dynamics involved in the sport, and the value of learning MMA as a way of survival. So in conclusion, the next time you see an event, rather in person or on television, hopefully you'll have a little more insight into what is actually occurring, and that may pique your interest and appreciation even more. Thank you all for being here.